Wavy A here, and today we are going to talk about my experience in the Air Force dorms. Now, for those of you guys who do not know, I am in the military, Air Force to be exact, and I wanted to give you guys an insight onto my overall experience at the dorm. So, I have a few questions on my laptop here since I don't have the iPad with me, and we are moving along with the first question. When did I move in? I moved in around May 2020, and this was during COVID. So I got out of tech school, and before I even could settle myself in officially at the base, I had to quarantine for 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks, that was my 22nd birthday, I believe. So I didn't have COVID. That was just their protocol up there for that base, in particular that we had to quarantine for 2 weeks at the base hotel, and we could not leave. We could not go to the store to get some toothbrushes, some toothpaste, some body soap. We had to call the hotel people and say, hey, I need some more food, or I need more water. And every breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they had a menu set out for us, and we had to choose whatever. And if we didn't like any of it, it was kind of like a big L if you didn't like any of the food for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And they were not playing when it came to quarantining. Next question, how many roommates did I have? I only had one roommate, so overall I just had one. When I first moved in, I didn't have any roommate for a year. The whole rest of the 2020, going along with the first half of 2021, I did not have any roommates. So the July, June of 2021, that's when I have my first roommate. Now, I'm gonna do story time about this roommate. So I only had one roommate. So the dorm setup was we shared a bathroom, but we had our own rooms. We never walked in on each other's rooms or anything like that. So our toilet and shower / bathtub setup, it was right in the middle. So it was a girl, and we didn't have guy roommates with a girl. We didn't do the co-ed stuff, but we always knew that if you were a guy, you're gonna have a guy roommate. If you were a girl, you're gonna have a girl roommate. It never switched up into some weird stuff like that. I met her once, and my experience overall with a roommate, well, to go along with this story time, I only met her when she first moved in, and that was just to introduce herself. And I was like, okay, cool. And for the first couple months, I really did not see her at all. I didn't hear her in the bathrooms or in the bedroom, because the walls are pretty thin, so you can kind of tell if someone's in the other side of the dorm at my base. And all of a sudden, I just would hear the most loudest music at 5 in the morning. So I worked swings and I worked mid-shift. So if you guys know, if you're working overnight, you know when you want to go to sleep, you want to go to sleep right then and there. So by the time I came from work at 6:30 or 6 o'clock a.m., I would hear her blasting her music. It didn't even matter what kind of music it was. It was just the simple fact that she was blasting music that early in the morning, right after I just walked in from getting off an 8-hour or 12-hour shift. That's what really kind of hey, can we tone it down a little bit? I know you're new here, but I'm just letting you know I work mids, stuff like that, and could you be respectful and mindful of that? So I wrote a little sticky note on her side of the door in the bathroom, and just letting her know hey, I work mids. Could you please turn down the music whenever you wake up in the morning? She was like, okay, cool. So that really didn't settle in until 2 weeks later after I gave her the note, okay? So I was getting really fed up with that, and so that's strike number 1. 2, I understand that we are allowed to have friends or visitors in the dorms. It was just the simple fact that every time they used the bathroom, which was mainly the guys using the bathroom, because I know I don't piss on the floor. they left piss marks, piss stains, whatever you want to call it, on the toilet seats and on the floor. And I'm a really, like, I'm not a stickler for cleanliness all the time, because I know sometimes you don't want to clean the bathroom like every single day, but I will clean it at least, like my least, I will clean it 2 times a week, okay? And it was to the point where I had to clean the bathroom 7 days a week. Like, why am I mopping and scrubbing piss stains, piss marks all over the toilet seats in the toilets in the bathroom? Like, it's 2 girls that should be using the bathroom. Like, why is there piss stains all over the toilet seat? Like, that is my biggest pet peeve when it comes to bathrooms. Like, if I see toilet seats up and piss stains all over the like floor and stuff, because you can obviously tell in our dorms, like, it's tiles, so you can obviously see it's a different color of the floor if it's pit. That really got on my nerves, and I was just like, oh my gosh, if I had to clean up this bathroom one more time and see another piss all over the floor or all over the toilet seat or on the back of the toilet seat cover, I'm gonna raise some sand. So I kindly knocked on her door, said, hey, whenever you have visitors, can you make sure that they clean up behind themselves, because I know that you are a cleanly person, but the people that you have inside the, like, your side of the dorms, they are not cleaning up after themselves, whether it's piss stains, poo stains. Like, half the time they didn't even flush the toilet, and I'm just like, what are we, 5 years old? That was what really got to me. It was to the point to where they would leave the toilet seat up, her visitors, but they wouldn't flush the toilet. And I was just like, okay, I am nobody's maid. I'm not cleaning up after no grown ass person. So that's what really got to me. And another fact was that she had really long hair. So at that time in 2021, if you guys don't know, I had a short, like, fade. Like, I had a low buzzed haircut. So you know that if you see any hair on the floor, you knew it was gonna be mine, because my hair was not long. It obviously, you can't really grip it. So I was like, why is there hair all over the toilet seat? Why is there hair all over the bathroom floor? Why is there hair in the bathtub? Why am I having to unclog the bathtub with long stringy pieces of hair? And I'm like, this is becoming a bad habit here. I think that to the point to where they thought that I was somebody's mama and I'm gonna clean up every time they made a mess. So I shut it all down. I talked to her, wrote some notes and said, hey, can you please clean up after yourself? Like, I have to clean up multiple times. Like, it was to the point to where I cleaned every day. Every time I use the bathroom, I always had to clean up something. And I'm like, I should be able to enjoy my bathroom experience in peace and not having to worry about, okay, is there gonna be something I gotta clean up before I even use the bathroom? Like, I got so used to the point of being by myself that whenever I saw her as a roommate, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I gotta live with another person even though I don't see them all the time. Like, yeah, she was a nice person, but when it came to the cleanliness, it made me think she was a whole different person. Now, it could have been her visitors, but I feel like if your visitors are not cleanly, then you should not invite them to your dorm. Like, that is a big pet peeve of mine. If you cannot clean up after yourself after, like, at this big age of yours in the military, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, that's just disgusting. And she would also, I'm not complaining, but it's just the fact that every time I wrote a note, I wasn't like cursing at her. I didn't, write any malicious intents with it, but it just felt like every time I wrote a sticky note, she would like just brush it off like, yeah, okay, like, she's just telling me to clean up after myself. Like, who is she, my mom? And I'm like, okay, I just asked you nicely to just clean up after yourself. That's the least you can do, because we both live in the dorms and we share a bathroom. So, like, for me, I've had a roommate before when I was in college and stuff like that, but I never had any problems because we were both cleanly and we knew that, okay, if I mess up something, I'm gonna clean up after myself. So I figured, since I joined the military at an older age, I thought I was gonna be able to move out the doors, but that was not the case. So if you guys want to know how, like, the dorm experience is when it comes to, like, having roommates, just think of it as the Air Force when you guys go to your tech school. kind of think of like that, but every dorm setup is different. But just know that whenever you do go to a dorm, you might have roommates or multiple roommates, if that makes sense. So that was my overall roommate experience. I thought she was pretty cool, but it was just the cleaning part that like irked my soul. Like I just could not stand it. And it was to the point to where I was gonna have to go to my dorm manager and like, hey, can you please talk to this girl, because I am a grown woman. I should not have to be cleaning up grown people's stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what really turned off for me as like having a roommate. Is the dorms co-ed? Yes, but not to the point where you're sharing a bathroom. Now, so the old dorms that I stayed in and the new dorms that I did not stay in, they are co-ed. It's just that like the meaning of co-ed is you'll be on the same floor with guys and girls, but will you be sharing bathrooms with a guy? No. So the old dorm setup, you'll have 2 bedrooms, so there'll be 1 bedroom here, 1 bedroom there, and then your bathroom / shower will be like right in the middle. So your doors will be like opening into a bathroom and your other person will open into the bathroom. That's like the only part that you'll share and that you'll have like inside there. But the new dorms, you kind of have like an apartment type style to where each corner of the dorms is a bedroom, and then you guys share a kitchen / common area, but you guys will have your own bathrooms and showers and tubs in each corner of the room in the new dorms. So that's really kind of how like the dorms were set up at my base when I moved in. So I stayed in the old dorms, unfortunately, so I didn't really mind that I had to share a bathroom, but I just wish that I had a more cleanly person that was more mindful. So that was really my problem. Are we allowed to have visitors / sneaky links in the dorms? You are allowed to have visitors at the dorms, but we do have like a visiting hour type. So it'll be like the earliest 6 a.m. The latest is when everybody gotta leave, get out, get in your own rooms, 10 p.m. Now, in terms of your sneaky link, that is on you. I'm not saying you are allowed to have a sneaky link. You're not allowed to have a sneaky link in the dorm. That is on you. I am not saying nothing, okay? I know that people have had their sneaky links in their dorm throughout the whole night. That's on you, but in my terms of having one in there, I would say it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because we do have room inspections in the dorms, whether you're in the old dorms or the new dorms. Like, let's say you have to have a random dorm inspection at like 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, and that means you could either get drug tested or they're just doing like a wellness check on the whole dorms and you just don't know, and everyone's banging on your door to get out so they can check to see if you have any alcohol or drugs or weapons or anything else that's not allowed or that's unauthorized in the dorm. So when it comes to having visitors, you better make sure that, okay, they either like y'all did what y'all did, y'all had y'all fun and y'all went to y'all other rooms, or they went back to their hotel, whatever, or you went back with them to their hotel. So that's kind of like the experience of having visitors / sneaky links, if you guys wanted to know more about that. But they don't really authorize you to have overnight visitors because of the room inspection thing. So my base, we don't do trusted travelers, so you gotta have a visitor pass if you're not military personnel. And what that means is you have to have a visitor pass, and your visitor pass has a time frame. So if your time says 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., by 10 p.m. you better make sure you are off base and wherever you were at, whether it's a hotel, your house, or back home, or whatever. So our dorms did not play when it came to having overnight visitors. Like, they will kick you out, you will get in trouble, and you may get an Article 15 for having visitors overnight past that time frame. How far is the dorm from work? So luckily I could just take a walk, like a 5-minute walk from my dorm to my job. Since I am security forces, my squadron was literally right across from my dorm, so I really didn't have an excuse to be late whether I had a car or not. So that was kind of like the good side of staying in the dorms, because I didn't have to walk extra far or having to wake up early just to get a head start in walking towards my job. How was the appliances in my room? I also have a room tour, so if you guys want to check that out and if you want to see like a more in-depth of how my room looked at the Air Force Base, I do have that. But we did have a refrigerator. We had our own refrigerator, so it had a freezer, you know, just regular refrigeration stuff, and we had a bathroom sink that was outside of the bathroom. So the setup, it sounds weird, but that's really how it was. Like, we had a mirror, we had the bathroom sink, and then right across from your sink was your refrigerator. It was pretty big, so I didn't have no problems with my refrigerator. It always kept my food nice and fresh and cold, so I actually like that refrigerator. So it was pretty cool to have like your own refrigerator instead of worrying about having other people eating your food. Unlike the new dorms, if you didn't have like a mini refrigerator in your room, you had to share it with 4 other people. So that was kind of like the downside of the new dorms. And as for like your washer and dryers, now we had a laundry facility area. Now we didn't pay for like washing our clothes or drying our clothes like how you would see like at a laundry mat. So the thing is with the laundry setup is you don't know who is dirty and who's clean in those laundry rooms. So my problem was that the laundry place area, you were bound to get random pieces of hair on your clothes, whether it was cat hair, human hair, or down there type of hair. And that's what really kind of made me get the ick, if that makes any sense. So I would constantly wipe down the washer and dryer before I even put my clothes in there, because I'm kind of like a clean freak, and if I don't know where this laundry bin or who washed their clothes, I'm gonna wipe it down. So I took some Lysol wipes and I wiped down and I put my clothes in there. So that was the only problem I had. And in the new dorms, you had to share your washer and dryer with 4 other people, so there were no extra washer or dryers. You had 1 washer machine and you had 1 drying machine. So you better hope that you did all your laundry before the next person came in and put their clothes in and started washing. So that was the difference between the old dorms and the new dorms. How was my bed set up? So I didn't necessarily have a big like bed frame slash headboard, if that makes sense. It kind of reminded me of like an elementary type bed setup. So my bed was a twin bed frame. Okay, let me just give you guys a picture of this. And on the bottom of the bed frame, it had drawers that you could put your socks or underclothes, t-shirts, or whatever. So the bed was pretty small. Like, it's a tight squeeze for 2 people to set up and lay down in a twin bed, if you know what I mean. So I did have a TV. I had a 45-inch screen TV. We did have a TV stand. We were not able to mount it on the wall. So if you guys are like, hey, can we mount stuff on the TV? Like, can we do that in the dorms? No, you weren't allowed to do that at my base. So every other base is different, but the base that I was at, you weren't allowed to mount your TV on the wall. Whether they mounted it or you mounted it, they were not having it if we were mounting on the wall. So they gave us a TV stand that was like 45 inches. So if you guys want a bigger TV, you guys had to buy your own stand. If you guys wanted a better mattress, a better bed set, you had to buy that on your own. So you were able to buy like extra stuff like that if you wanted to, like rugs. You can have posters. You can have extra dressers. You can put shelves up there if you like, but you have to buy that yourself. So that was the main thing when it came to staying in the dorm. So you weren't allowed to mount anything, but you can use command strips. You were allowed to hang up picture frames, posters, and all that. And that was like pretty much the setup. If you wanted something, you had to buy. Like, you were allowed to have like accent rugs if you wanted to. If you wanted a little coffee table, you could have that as well, but you have to pay out of pocket for that. So my recommendations when it comes to buying furniture in the dorms is to wait until you're able to move out, because that is a lot of stuff. And I stayed on the 3rd floor, so when it came for me moving out, I was like huffing and puffing each trip when it came to moving out. And it was because of all the clothes I had, all the furniture I had, and the TV. and my shoes. So that's another thing to look out for when it comes to staying in the dorms, is be mindful of how much stuff you accumulate in your dorms, whether or not it's furniture or clothes. The closet setup, we had 2 locker room type closets in the dorm, so it wasn't that much. I would say it's a little bit kind of like, if you guys remember from your tech school, how that dorm set up, that's how much locker space you have. Like, you don't have a walk-in closet or anything like that. So in the old dorms, we just had 2 lockers, whether you just put your civilian clothes in there, and then in the other locker, you would put your military clothing. Now for the new dorms, you did have a walk-in closet, but it was like a tiny walk-in closet. So you had to be mindful of how much clothes you buy and whether how much you want to actually keep those clothes when it comes to moving out the dorms. How did we get our mail in the dorms? So we have a mail room type setup that's separate from the dorms, and it was for like all the dorms on the base. So we would just walk in and get our packages from there. If we needed to get an extra key, we had to get that. But our mailboxes were on the first floor of the dorm. So we had a little mailbox key, just like a regular one if you guys stay in an apartment or a postal office. So we would just get the key. It would be like a small little mailbox, like that big. And if we had any packages, they'll give us a slip, and we would take that slip and turn it into them, and they will let us know if our package was actually there or not, or if we have to go pick it up at an actual like US Postal or UPS type of facility, depending on how big or small the package is. Do we get room inspections? A lot. Now, from my experience from staying there and from 2020 to 2022, I will say I didn't really have that much room inspections. It all depends on your supervisors when it comes to room inspections. So I always made sure my room was clean, so I didn't care when it comes to getting room inspections because I knew that my room was always clean and I'm a cleanly person. Now, as for those like random first shirt pop-ups where your first sergeant is knocking at your door at 3 a.m. and you have to do a drug test, now those were kind of annoying because a lot of times I would be just coming from work and I have to go get a drug test because the whole dorm facility is getting drug tested and everybody had to leave and get out. So that was my main like kind of annoyance when it comes to room inspections. So overall, room inspections is up to your supervisor whether they have any suspicions of you doing some illegal activity or you just were not a cleanly person. So they always do wellness checks if you are not hygienic, upkeeping with yourselves. Also, another thing to watch out, that if you are not smelling good, they will do a wellness check on you at your dorm. They do not care if you're taking a shower or not. They want to see how you are keeping up with yourself at those dorms, because you're supposed to keep those dorms tip-top shape. You're supposed to have your bed made, not supposed to have dirty clothes all over the place. Your closet's supposed to be neat. Your refrigerator's not supposed to have alcohol or any type of illegal foods in there. And your bathroom is supposed to be in tip-top shape. Like, they do not want to see any hairs all over the floor. They do not want to see any like piss all over the floor. They want to make sure the toilet bowl is clean. They don't want to see like your unfinished business inside the toilet. Like, that toilet bowl needs to be clean. What is it like getting groceries? Now, we had a grocery store on base, and also we have a cafeteria facility if you are on the meal card. So like, the meal card is basically your BAH, and if you are not on the BAH, then you basically have to go to the cafeteria and get the breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or midnight snack type of thing. Now, they were not open 24/7. That was my main problem when it comes to the cafeteria. So you basically had to time every meal, whether or not you wanted to get it or not. So I really didn't go to the cafeteria a lot due to my dietary. So I'm a pescatarian, so I didn't really eat their food a lot. So I mainly cooked my own food, and I just basically grocery shopped on base till I got a car, and I would just go off base and go to their grocery store. So to each his own with the food menu. You basically don't have a choice when it comes to suggestions when it comes to their food. So it's basically you got 3 or 4 choices, and you better pick for what you want for breakfast, what do you want for dinner, what do you want for lunch, what do you want for a midnight snack. So sometimes it was a hit or miss because not everybody can cook. And in terms of what you're allowed to have, like cooking appliances, you are allowed to have a microwave and a coffee pot, but you are not allowed to have an air fryer or a blender or a toaster or a oven toaster. So those were the main things you were not allowed to have inside your dorms, because they had like a kitchen area where you can cook with a stove, a oven, a pizza oven, and a smoothies or whatever. So you weren't allowed to have certain like kitchen appliances inside your dorms because it was considered a fire hazard. So I really had just a microwave in my dorm. So I was so happy to have my own microwave because I got tired of going downstairs just to put some popcorn in a microwave. Like, that was so annoying. How am I able to move out? So every base is different. So my base, you either had to be married or you had to have kids, or you were a senior airman for 3 years and you were able to move out the dorm. My experience with that was, it was pretty easy. So I just moved out, I packed all my stuff, I put it in a storage unit because I already was waiting on an apartment to move in. So that process was already easy, and what you had to do was clean your room from top to bottom, make sure that there was nothing out of place, nothing was broken, nothing had like any holes or punctured walls or anything like that. And you would just let your dorm management know that I am ready for room inspection, and they'll just do a quick look at your whole dorm after you moved everything out. So they made sure that you didn't leave anything behind, because once you're gone from those dorms, you are not able to get anything back in that room. So my overall experience in the dorms, it wasn't bad, but I would rather had moved out before I actually got in there, in my opinion, because I was 22 at the time and I felt like I am too old to be in the dorms. And that's also another thing too. If you are like in your late 20s / early 30s, you were not allowed to stay in the dorms. So you had to have your own place. And I was really trying to move out the dorms because by the time I'm 25 now, when I was 24, 23, I was trying to go out the dorms because I felt like this is like childish to me. I shouldn't have to stay in a dorm at that age. But the people in dorm management, they're like, nope, if you aren't married, if you don't have kids, if you don't have like a caregiver you're supposed to take care of, you had to stay in the dorms no matter what. So that's how my dorm was. I don't know why they were so strict about that for whatever reason, because man, they were making it hard for you girls to move out the dorms. Now, this is just from my experience at my base. So when it comes to finding out what your first base is, always make sure or ask your sponsor how to move out, because every process of moving out the dorms is different. In my base, they were super strict, and from my other friends' aspects, they were able to move out the first couple months they got here onto their base. So that's another thing that was a little bit different that was annoying for me, was that I couldn't move in unless I was E4 or my age or marriage or kids or caregiver. And I was just like, I shouldn't have to jump through hoops just to move out the dorms. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was another thing that I just didn't think that made any sense. If you feel like you're ready to move out and stay on your own and pay your own bills, you should have the opportunity and go. Like, that's on you if you don't pay your rent, you know what I'm saying? So that's the main problem that I had, was trying to move out the dorms at my age, because I felt like they were just like, oh, we don't care how old you are, you're gonna stay in the dorm. Overall, that is my experience. If you guys want to check out my room tour of my first like dorm room area, I will have a link up here and in the description box below for you guys to check out. And if you guys have any other comments on how it is staying in the Air Force dorms, please give me a comment down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, y'all. I'll see you on the next video.
I'll be going down.